I think it's tight, guys. Buddy, Matt here, Hollywood Garage. Today's episode, we're working back on the Ventura, the LS swap. So the last video, I ended up getting this engine right here, pulled out of a truck, stripped to where you see it now. And now we got to get it ready and start getting it built back up to put it back in the car. Here's the one engine that was in the car. So I'm gonna have to strip that down, take the heads off, take the cam out. Hopefully the cam's still good because I did have bearing material in my oil pan. So and then the rear flex plate, the rear cover, front cover, accessories, oil pan, that's all gonna go on this other engine. I have a new timing chain set for the new engine. I have a new oil pump, just a factory one. I have the BTR head gaskets, the 9 layer ones for boost. And we'll slap it back together. But so first of all, what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish taking the oil pump off the old engine, get the new one on, timing chain, stuff like that. Actually, chain we can't do until we get the cam off the old stuff. So maybe what we'll start with, we'll back that up. Let's start with dismantling this the old engine, get the cam, the heads off, and all that. What we need, got to drain it still of coolant, still have coolant in it. So it's been dripping slowly into a pail for the last little while. And then we'll get that stripped and we'll get on to the new one. Decided to take one of the bearings off of the rod, and this is what we have. There's the crank there. She's in mid shape. And then there's the bearing. Really good shape bearings. I'm super happy about that. So it was just a piece of mind to take one off. Yeah, probably should take all of them off, but they all had the same amount of like side to side play. None of them had this play in up and down. They all had the same amount of side to side. So I just ended up taking one off that was easy to grab. And good news, those bearings are pristine. We are good to go. Let me get this back together, re-torque down, and we'll continue with taking that one apart. Again, curiosity got the cat, thought I might as well, we're in here. Never did in the last video, so now we know. Here we go, the moment of truth, pulling the cam out, see if those cam bearings are trashed or not. I got heads off, all covers. Just got to get the bottom oil pickup tube off and splash shield, and we'll be ready to start assembling the other engine. So far so good. She got a little warm, it looks like, in the back there. I don't know if you can see that or not. All the lobes look good. No funny wear on the cam bearing surfaces. Still a good cam, guys, thank gosh. But that's weird how it's got a bit of a, where'd that go? Two little heat score areas, there and there. Nothing rides on those, so maybe that was just the way it was casted and I never noticed when I put the cam in, but the rest of it looks good. We're gonna send her, guys. She looks good. Good news. Didn't want to spend another 500 plus some dollars. The back of it's got a heat score on it too. Just that's the way they ground it. It's a Trick Flow cam. So it's a good brand name. And I bought it before the COVID times where things weren't as cheaply knocked off, even for the brand name stuff. Okay, so I'll continue to knock this down. We're gonna, I mean, we can still use this oil pump. I'll take it apart and see it. It's a Melling high pressure one, but I bought a brand new factory pressure one. Problem I had with this one is it was almost too much pressure. And by that I mean she was always on the relief spring. Cold start with even 530 in it, it'd be at like 70 PSI. Once it warmed up, it'd be at like 50 PSI idle. That's why I was weird seeing the bearing material on the bottom of the pan. But when you go to turbo it, even with journal bearings, they don't want to see that much PSI. It's too much. So I want to run just a factory oil pump in it for pressure. This timing chain is still good. I do have a new Chloe's one that we could throw on the new engine though. But we'll have to get this pickup off and the splash shield and these motor mounts, and that's all we need from this block. Those cam bearings still look pretty good. So I wonder what bearings, it must have been the mains that got ate up. We'll know that once we get that splash shield off and see where actually the bearing material came from. Took the oil pickup off. If you look, there's actually bearing material still in there in the screen. So, gonna have to clean that out. Give it the old reuse, but it's doing its job, filtering and keeping out chunks. So yeah, almost done here. Just got to get the shield off the bottom here, and we start transferring stuff over. I'll put on some clean gloves and use Lubriplate to lube everything up. It'll be good. So here's a little trick to clean the threads on your block when you go to put new torque to yield bolts in. Obviously, when you remove your old ones, there's going to be a sealant that was on these when they were put in. It's still going to be in the threads in the block. So grab one of your old bolts. I know that people say you can reuse these, but honestly, there was a few of them where they looked like they were stretched pretty thin in this area. Obviously, that was in the block. So I got new ones, Chinese knockoffs. I mean, are they any better? Who knows? But peace of mind, right? Anyway, you're gonna grab your zip disc and cut 2 slots, kind of on an angle, one on this side and one on the other, just like a tap. It's a homemade tap. So when you go to chase threads in the block, it'll keep all the gunk in the line that you're cutting. There's one. Doesn't take much. And there's 2. Make sure you engage the safety squints. So now when you go to chase the threads, they'll clean it out for you. I can't use my impact because I let the smoke out of it. It doesn't work anymore. I only had it for like 8 years. Not that you would anyway. Just use do it by hand, or use your battery power to like ratchet, as that's only 35 foot-pounds of torque, but you're just cleaning threads. Getting all that old thread sealant out of there. And whatever else would have fell in there throughout the process of you building a block. See how it came out. And then after, you don't want to blow the holes out. So you can see there, right in there, right in that where the tip of my finger is, it's not shiny, where I had a fresh cut. That's full of thread sealant. Same with the other side. That's why it's important, because you go to retorque the new ones in, that old gunk will change the torque to yield on the new bolts. Just keep that in mind, especially when you're going to boost. You're going to want all the proper clamping force when you go to do these. So now I only have what? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 on the other side. You have 22 mils. You could, if you want, not 22 mils, sorry. You're 10 or 8 or 10 mils. I think you're, can't remember, 10 mils. Those ones you can do it, but those are only torque to like 20 foot-pounds or 22. I have to look it up again. It's been a while since I put a head on. Where these are going to be quite high. And the torque sequence on head bolt are a little different than most. They're going to be like a 90 and a 90, but I'll go through all that when I go to torque them. But yeah, let me just finish cleaning these up and we'll call it good. You see those threads are all plugged up, so grab a pick, clean them out, and do the other side. See, look at that. Crucial, guys. Clean it. Just don't reuse your old head bolts, and you have a free cleaning tool with a zip disc. That's all you need. And like I said, make sure you blow these out after with a rag around it. You use your bit of brake clean, blow it out, because that'll change your torque sequence too, having any liquids in there, coolant or whatever. Yeah, other side. I'm gonna reuse the old gear only because I don't have a puller to get that off. There's no missing teeth or nothing, so it'll be all right. So outsmarted myself and decided to take the pump back off to align it. Now we got dot to dot. That was way easier. So take the pump off. That way you get a good image of it all. I am now sitting on there. Nice and tight. A little bit of play, and that's because probably I'm using the old bottom sprocket. I don't have a puller for it, and the teeth are still in really good shape, so it's a lot tighter than the other one was, I can tell you that. So we'll roll with that. I know LS's later on ended up putting guides in, keep it tight, but honestly, this engine will probably blow up before that happens. I'll be bringing a new one on anyway, because boost life. Anywho's. Turn this back around, we'll put the oil pump back on, and we'll put the pickup back on. So you want to put these in all kind of finger tight, these 4 bolts. And then when you go to finger tight, you want to rotate the crank 360 degrees and then snug them down to 20 something foot-pounds. No, just wrist tight works. And this just makes sure that we are centered on that gear in there. Might as well go till the lining marks line up again. Pressure on the crank, that'll do it. There we go. Now we snug her down. There we go. What we're gonna do is I have the old O-ring from the melting pump I had on the other engine. So I'm gonna see if this is a snugger fit than the new O-ring, just in case. Tighter is better. Yeah, see that one's the snugger. In there square though, there we go. There, I'll be using the old one instead. So the one that I did have, so this is just a cheap Chinese Amazon pump, second cheapest one they had listed. Which is kind of my go-to. Standard volume, like I said, standard pressure. So those O-rings obviously are going to be a cheaper version. It probably would have worked. It wasn't as snug as this, but I'm sure it would have worked. I know it works. It's sealed up. We're going to use it. Very critical that that's a tight O-ring and a square seat when you go to push it in. Don't try to use the bolts to suck it in, because it'll go in square, or I won't go in on square. You'll have issues. Did I mention again how much I just do this one so it's snug. Send it home. There we go. Put the oil pan back on now. We'll just finger tight it though. I've already took a scraper to this, scraped off all the old gasket off camera. So there's one thing to note. The Gen 3s will have a shorter bolt, and there's only 2 per head that are this length. The rest are all either long or the small shorter ones that go on the top. These shorter ones, 2 outsides, 1 and 1 on the inside of the head. Otherwise, you'll try to put a long one in and it's gonna bottom out, you know, that far before it'll get tight, and it's not gonna do its job. Just beware of that. Don't use a short one on a long hole because it won't seal right either. So I just grab those first. I usually put those in first so I know. Got a bit of a change of scenery for you guys here. So you want to snug all of them down just by hand to where they're touching the head. After that, you're going to take your torque wrench, set it to 22 foot-pounds, start from the beginning, and work your way out. So be like 1, 2, and then, you know, go around in a circle. Do all of your bigger ones first, 22 foot-pounds. After that, we'll get to the next step. 22 foot-pounds, got my torque wrench set to. Start with your first one, center right here. Number 2. Three. 4. 5.
6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now grab a marker, a black marker, draw a line horizontal across them all. I'll explain that when we get to it. There we go. Now turn, using the same sequence I did before, turn them all 90 degrees. So that you're gonna have a breaker bar, not a torque wrench. Gotta find my breaker bar. Check, you'll see your line that you drew, make sure that's at 90. There. Now all my lines are going vertical, okay? Using the same thing, turn bolts 1 through 8 another 90 degrees. So 1 to 8, another 90 degrees. So you're gonna go back to being sideways. This might be a lot of work, so brace it. Slipped. Now you know why cleaning those threads were so important. The ones on this end are always the worst. There we go. There they're all across. The ones that get the 8 done, using the sequence above, turns 9 and 10 additional 50 degrees. Since these last two are shorter, right? They want 50 degrees instead of 90. They're gonna be more at an angle. There we go. That is how you torque a head. You still have these ones here. And these go to 22 foot-pounds. Smaller ones on the top of the head, 22 foot-pounds. But you're set already from the first. Again, working your way out. Taking forever there. Had me worried. There, that's how you torque a LS head. Quick and dirty way. Again, all your lines, draw them. Start this way, because your first head will be 90, then you go the other way. Except for a generation 3 block. These other two will be 50 degrees. We'll be on an angle. If you go a little over, that's okay. But there we go. Okay, now we just repeat other side. Actually, let's first put the push rods in, and we'll put the bar in with the rockers on it. And those get torqued through. Install the rockers first, torque each rocker down to 20, and then do a second pass and torque them to 24. So 20 and 24. Again, work it out, inside out. Just make sure these go in nice and square. You'll feel it fall into a cup. Very important again. You don't want to be crooked sitting in there. Got the other head on. So, the LS9 head gaskets, which I have the BTR ones, their thickness when compressed is 0.055. And I think these LS9 head gaskets, they're the multi-layer, 7-layer, I think. Where the factory head gasket, which is I think a 3-layer, they're 0.051. So we've gained 0.004 for thickness, for compression wise. Just something to keep in mind when you end up doing this. It's not a lot to make a difference. Obviously, I'm running the 243 heads on an LQ4, which I think brings it like 10.1 to 1 or 10.3 or something. So we're still above 10. We're doing good. Still healthy for boost. Not a big issue that way. Like I said, better for boost though, these head gaskets. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the lift plate on, lift the engine off the mount, install both front rear covers and then the oil pan. And then honestly, you'd be ready to go back into the car. And then, yeah, put all that back together. I just got an update on my On3 turbo kit for this. I ordered it back in March 2023 on pre-order. I just got informed that they could start shipping out by the end of this month, which is March 1st today. So by the end of March all the way to July is what he's expecting. So, I mean, better late than never, right? But either way, what I'll do, if I don't have them by the end of the month and the weather's good and there's no snow and stuff, I'll put the exhaust back on, start it up, run it with this new block. That way I can guarantee that it's still a good block before I boost it, throw a turbo and all that on it. But if it comes before that, I mean, it's not that hard to throw in, obviously. I still have to drill the bolt for the accessory for this kit. So I'll show you down here. Right here, I got to drill a hole to mount my low alternator here bracket. So I got the Dirty Dingo, or not Dirty Dingo, ICT, sorry, piece right here. Right, so I'll take off my pump here to get to that hole. That way it lines up and it gives you a perfect hole to drill. And I have the tap for that. My other block, I did that with it on the car. So it's doable on the car, but now that it's out, I mean, it makes it easy, right? We'll do it now. I already got my aluminum barbell put in from the previous engine, so that's all good there. Just got to clean up this face. Then we'll slap on the new cover that I bought for the other engine that hasn't been run yet, so we'll do that now. We'll clean her up. Do some brake clean, man's best friend. Cleanliness is next to godliness, guys, when it comes to gasket surfaces. Spend the 5 minutes, clean it up, or you'll regret it later on. There we go. We're gonna only hand thread these in too. We'll lube this up so when the O-ring gets put on, she's nice and slippery. Some more Lubriplate. You can use this normal oil, guys, if you don't have Lubriplate. Just like that. There's a proper plastic tool and stuff on there, but if you lube it up good, you shouldn't have any issues. You can take the chance like me, which I've done a few times, I've had no problems. Or you can buy the tool and have a better success rate of not leaking. Get these hand threaded in, and then we'll put snug them, but not snug them. You want some looseness in this when you go to put the oil pan on, because the bottom of this has to be seated against the oil pan before you tighten up this, or you'll have leaks. To say you can just, because it's on there flat, like it centers itself, that you should just tighten it up and then the oil pan will suck up to it. But this is an aftermarket cover, it's a Dorman. It's not the factory one, so hopefully it's casted the same. The reason why I went to this Dorman one is because the one on my original block, I mean your long bolts that go through your oil pan, they ended up being, one was stripped. So I could use the factory one and just put a new rear main seal in off this block, but we got it, might as well use it. There we go. Now we'll do the front one. I'll get you guys on the other side for that. Same with the rear, clean it up. Might as well do your water pump while you're here. See how clean that is there. I'll show you after I wipe it. There, you can see it's dark, so worth it, guys. Just take the time, clean it up. So for this front cover, it's a lot of the same. Just slide it on. The crank is the one that's going to slide into here, so you just want to put it on there, bolt it on, and then, I mean, you should probably give that a respray, but you don't see it with everything put on it. find the bolts. Again, just snug. This one especially, because like I said, you want that bottom with the oil pan snugged up. Now the tricky part is going to be getting this oil pan on while having your bead of silicone on the bottom, front and rear. Again, brake clean the bottom of it all. I had to get it up higher to make it easier on myself. Just put a little bit of silicone on the edges here. You kind of get one chance in a way, so don't just take your time. And then you have to try to get bolts in, and it's just remember, you're going into aluminum, so be careful. Cover now that we have these bottom two sucking it in. We'll swing it around and we'll do that other bolt I was telling you about. We have to drill this hole right here on my finger. So I'll lower it some so we get a better view here. I'll have to take the pump off, put the bracket on. Got it all back where we needed it. Just going to now take off this bolt because this is where the top of the guide is going to go on to. We'll see. I might have to loosen up the other ones too to get that spacer out. Then we can, so the reason this is for Camaro, first gen Camaro spacing, to have the alternator down low. Most turbo kits are going to be designed for this style. If you do the forward facing crossover, we'll use it. And you can see here, once it's bolted up, there's your hole. Super simple, super easy. The drill bit you're going to use, as per the instructions, is a 11/32. And then the tap I have here to have it so you can use all of the accessories that would have had is a, ooh, it's hard to read, M10 times 1.5. So as you can see, the pump had to come off just so I can have a straight angle around this. I'm gonna start with a smaller bit first. I mean, this hole's not big enough for, you could probably go a bit bigger. Make sure you're centered. Let's see if that was good. Perfect. Okay, we are pretty close to center. I'm gonna take it off so we don't end up reaming that hole out for if you ever have to use it again. Love me an Allen key. Not. There, I think I got it deep enough. I measured it with the other hole that I had it in, so you do what you're not supposed to do. And tap it on a drill. Well, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. I'm out of battery, like always. Guess we'll just do it by hand. I'll go grab a croissant. No, I don't have a proper set. This is what I have. And this I did it the first time and it worked. So fingers crossed. There we go. We're good there. Huh. Good. Because we won't know until we go to bolt it on. So, good news. It works perfect. This is the hole we did here. Right there is the one we drilled. Oh, hang on, can you see my finger right there? That hole is we drilled in the block right there. So yeah, we are good. Obviously, like I can't have this on the block when I go to mount it. We'll put the engine back in, so I take it off anyway, but have to triple check that it worked. That is your low mount alternator onto an LQ4. Pulley here. Everything lines up perfectly there, so we'll install the crank pulley next, and this will be ready to drop in. All you gotta do is take it back off the stand and then put the flex plate on the back, which you guys seen me do in my last video, so let's get this mounted with the special tool that I got. As always, lube, lube, lube. Put a little bit of lube on there because this is where the gasket's gonna ride on. Don't leave it lots on there, just enough. Nice about LS is you don't worry about making sure this goes on. It goes on any direction, as long as it's flush and the bore is clean. Put in my special rad. Get that all the way in there. Washer, and nut. And then you just want to get it on enough to where you can get, I use a factory bolt, but last time I got this on, I used a hammer to kind of tap it back and forth. It's hard on your thrust bearing, and maybe that's what's wrong with my last engine. The thrust bearing got eaten up. Obviously I don't know because I never took it apart yet, but we'll try to use this. Let's see if I have a deep enough socket for that. Ended up grabbing a 1-inch. It's a little loose, but it'll work just to get it seated. I used my impact, but I smoked it out and I haven't got a new one yet. We still have a bit left, but it keeps moving back on me. If I can get my breaker bar on it or something a little longer, it's more leverage. I don't have the ring or the flex plate with the stopper on it to help me on this, so starting to turn the engine over now. So I'm gonna have to figure out what to do there. 3/4 inch impact will probably get it on the rest of the way, but I don't have one. It's got to go on another 1/2 inch. Halfway on, so 1/4 inch left. They're starting to lose socket here though. That seemed too easy. Okay, try to get that off. Oh, it looks like I was bending it. This is an Amazon special, so what do you expect, right? I think it's got to go a bit more, but we'll have to see if this does it. Remember guys, this isn't the right way of doing it. Do as I say, not as I do. Put a shorter one on now. 15/16 fit better too, FYI. Oh, woo! I think it's tight, guys. I think we're on. I gave that one all the beans. Okay. And we are torqued. It's not going anywhere. Okay guys, well, thanks for tagging along on this video. Long overdue. I've been working on this for a while. All in all, it's probably been a few weeks. I went on vacation for a week, so I mean that doesn't help, but finally got it ready to drop in to the car. And hopefully next time it's in the car, you'll see it and I'll be putting a turbo kit on or the exhaust, and then we'll hear it fire up and make sure it's good. But thanks for following on. And as always, questions, concerns, message me, direct message me on TikTok, Hollywood's Garage, Instagram, Hollywoods_garage. Follow me, comment. Appreciate all the support, guys. Thanks for taking along on the build. And if you're also coming from my Super Duty build, hopefully you enjoyed it. Some gas, jobby work. We'll catch you on the next one.